Tinkosi Talk Show as Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. With me today, Angie Simmons. Hi, Angie.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fabulous. Thank you. Yourself?
I am good, thank you. So our topic today is learning to take accountability and control your life. Angie, you chose this topic. I love this accountability and take control of your life. Do we actually take control of our life, or?
I think the simple answer to that one, my darling, is sometimes it just depends on how we feel.
Yeah. So what do you think of? Can you explain to the audience why you chose this topic, and what do you think the audience will benefit from it?
Right. Well, it's a little bit for me, when I was thinking about this topic, I'm going to go back to a time in my life when I was blaming everybody and everything for all the nonsense that was happening in my life. I didn't realize what it was. I just thought the world hated me, God hated me, universe hated me, everybody hated me, and it was all my fault, and I was just a bad person. And which actually obviously had a really negative effect, because what energies you put out, what thoughts you put out, you get back. So I was blaming everybody and everything for all the situations, for my pain, for my failures. Although I didn't, excuse me, I've had a really bad coughing fit this morning and it keeps coming back. Just give me a second, just have a sip of water. So yeah, I was blaming everybody and everything. Now, yes, other people had, they voiced their opinions. They took action on their opinions. And unfortunately, I was in the firing line. And I internalized a lot of those words and those actions. And then my life started spiraling out of control. So that's when I thought about, the control of your life, because if you control your thoughts, feelings, and actions, then you get to control your life. If you're pointing your finger at blame at everybody else and all that they've done, what we don't realize is when you're pointing your finger, there's three pointing back at you. So to take me back to my story, I was blaming, yes, people had done things and they was very hurtful. They'd said things and they were very hurtful, but they didn't, they didn't make me go out partying 24/7. They didn't make me drinking bottles of wine instead of a glass of wine. They didn't make me go out spending money like it was going out of fashion. I did them, and a lot more. So when I was blaming everybody else and not taking the responsibility, the accountability of what I'd done, my life spiraled. But when I actually sat there and got truth with myself, which is, it's not an easy process, but to sit there and actually say, how have I affected my situation? What could have I done better? That internal journaling that I did for such a long time, when I was looking at my situation and going, well, actually, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, I'm doing that. How can I blame other people for my life spiraling out of control when it's my actions that are making things worse? Because our thoughts affect how we feel, and how we feel affects how we act. And nobody, I don't care who you are, if you are feeling really down in the dumps, your face is on the floor, you don't want to take action to move you forward. You want to stay there sometimes. And I'm not saying that a lot of people do want to stay there. Personally, my experience was I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to change, but I just did not know how. I did not know how I could control my life. Right? We've all got that unique power within us to be able to do that. So yeah, it's going inside and asking yourself the right questions, and it's like with business or a job. we have to take accountability to make it work. You know, for instance, when I was working for somebody else and I'd be putting a team, and then I'd be saying, right, okay, we've got to get X, Y, and Z done by X, Y, and Z. And then I'd do my work, and then somebody not do their work, and then it's their fault that it's actually collapsed and it's not worked. But actually got to take that accountability and say, have you done your bit? You know, if you don't communicate with the people that's in that situation with you, then you can't blame them. So yeah, that's where it all came from. It was just me sitting there and really thinking about that I needed, you know, I needed to change my life. I was struggling with with depression and anxiety. I was popping antidepressants like Smarties, drinking like a fish, binge watching TV, going out spending money like it was going out of fashion. That was my responsibility. So I had to take accountability for me being an absolute wreckhead. You know, and when I realized that, it was like, oh, okay, I can control my life. So yeah, that's where it came from.
I think when it comes to life, it is easy for us to blame other people for our own mistakes and not taking accountability for our own lives. Because when you take accountabilities for your life, you look at your life and you fix your life wherever is broken, not comparing your life with anybody else. And I think we all been there. We all have stories, and our stories are different, but they are all similar. So in life, you have to be someone that has that courage to say, you know what, I'm going to take responsibilities and fix my life. When my relationship fell apart, I sat down with myself and I had a communication with myself, and I was like, where do I go from here? And I realized that I actually needed to stop blaming myself and stop blaming my ex and stop blaming people around me. All I needed was to find a way, find a path that just healing, self-healing. I just needed to find a way for me to go forward without thinking about a relationship. At that moment, I was like, any relationship that comes my way at this moment, I know I'm not gonna be ready for it, but I need to learn more about Nomsa. Who is Nomsa? What does Nomsa represent, without blaming anybody else? And that is when you take that step. It's not an easy step because it takes you back to your childhood. And when it takes you back to your childhood, there are so many things that you have to look at them. I don't know yourself when you had to check yourself out, if there were things that made you like, why am I thinking that way? So for me, it was like, I would laugh sometimes when I was thinking about things that did not exist and start Googling things when I was healing myself, and I'll be like, what made me think that way? Because that event never happened the way my mind is actually imagining it. So I had to work on myself and take accountability for my life and taking control back and stop being a victim, because some people go into that victim mode, like you blame, you did this, you're like, I did not do that. So people like to blame, and sometimes we blame people that were not there for us, or sometimes we blame those who rejected us. The blame comes in so many ways, but what we need to realize is, what have we learned from that rejection? What have we learned from that broken relationship? What have we learned from that work where you go to work and instead of getting on with work and somebody does not do their work like you said, and then you get frustrated? Have we communicated and make sure that everybody understand where we are? So that's why when you see, like on when I'm communicating with you guys, I send messages, I send videos, And sometimes if I know people who read them, they reply straight away. And those who have not read them, I make sure I send messages private as well. So I know, because we get busy live, and sometimes it can be really, really hard to catch up with things. So I always make sure that I communicate what is going on. Not everyone respond, but those who respond, I make sure that everyone knows where we are going and what is happening when it comes to life, because I have to take responsibilities as a person, and you can't blame people and say all this. If someone does not turn up at Ngozi talk shows, I know that is either something is not going right or they are sick. So I'll be like, what's going on? It's like, no, sir, I don't feel very well. So it's just like not blaming, working as a, or if you're not satisfied with something, try to find out, to get journal, communicate your emotions, your feelings, because we all have strong feelings. And when those feelings feel they have not been met, whatever their desires have not met, they go mad. Our emotions go mad. So it is nice to actually, like, you have a journal. I'll put the link for your journal as well, anyone who wants to buy it.
Oh, thank you.
That's why it's very, very important to have a journal, so you can journal everything with your emotions, have communications. What do you think about having communications, Angie, with your feelings and your emotions?
It's not easy. You know, like I said earlier, you know, we go down this blame game of blaming other people, but then on the other side, we can take the blame about everything when some of it is actually not your fault. It is actually somebody else that has done something. But for me, sitting there and, you know, having that conversation by journaling, it helps you go deep inside. The amount of stuff that I've come up with, like, for instance, top tip to anybody, if you are on that blame game, like I say, we're all guilty of it. Some people do like to be in the center of drama. You know, some people are drama causer, you know, they like to cause drama. Get rid of them. But you know, but when you ask yourself, when you start doing the journaling process, for me, like, for instance, I was last month, because I work a lot with the moons and the zodiac. So last month was about transformation and forgiveness. So I decided that I was going to write letters to the people that had really hurt me in a forgiveness way. And when I was writing one to a person that really, really, really hurt me, it took me a while for me to get over that pain and the blame that was thrown my direction. But when I was sitting there writing this forgiveness letter, it made me really sit down and go, oh my days, I'd not even thought of your feelings on this situation. Just by me journaling, it enabled me to look at that other person's point of view. Not everybody has got the same point of view. In fact, nobody has, but, you know, we're all individuals. You know, we're unique beings, that nobody is the same. We might have similar genes and similar opinions, but everybody's unique. And when I was sitting there writing this forgiveness letter, it was like, oh my days. And I had to sit there and I had to take accountability for the fact that I've not thought about that person's feelings at that, you know, for that situation. And instead of being able to communicate my words properly, back then, mine was a world of, and it was my way or the highway. And that other person was very, very much the same, you know, which was, like I say, we're both unique, but we've got the same sort of opinion of, well, I'm right, you're wrong. And when you don't communicate, you know, that how you feel properly, it comes across wrong. But if you don't ask the right questions, most of us think that a person, right, I'm speaking to you, Nomsa, blah, 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 this is how I'm thinking about this situation. But you could be thinking completely different to the way that I'm thinking about this situation. But if I don't communicate properly with you, then how do I know how you're feeling and thinking? I don't. I'm just assuming that you think and feel exactly the same as me. So when we get into that situation with other people, we automatically think, well, this is how I feel, blah, 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 blah. And you think that, well, they're nasty then, because why would they want to do X, Y, and Z to me and when I've not done anything wrong? But they're not thinking like that. So if you don't communicate how you're thinking and feeling to somebody, then how the hell can you blame them? Because they don't know how you're thinking and feeling, because you've not communicated. So that's the way I put it. I hope that makes sense. Bit of a rant.
It does make sense, Angie. It really does make sense, because sometimes we actually don't take responsibilities. We make excuses. And when we make excuses when it comes to life, I made a note. I think I wrote this 2020 or 2001. I can't remember. My feelings when I read my my journal is I always laugh. So it says tolerance, taking accountability of your life will teach you how to avoid the disastrous effect of raw and religious prejudice, which means defeating for millions of people who permit themselves to become entangled in foolishness arguments over this different subject, thereby poisoning their own minds and closing the doors of success. And this lesson can teach you as a person. This lesson can teach you to have courage to pick your argument, and also be aware of your thoughts. And also know your enemies. Or maybe also choose your enemies. Don't just go and argue with everybody else. So for me, I choose how I respond to people. Sometimes people, they say I don't take life too serious. And if we don't speak the same language, there's no point in me arguing, but I can hold a space of love for you, and try to find out why. Because what I need to understand is we are all different, like what you were saying, Angie. And while we are all different, we have different values, we have different beliefs. So as Angie Simmons, a mentally wellness mentor.
Oh, I've just realised I've still got the wrong thing up. I do that every time and I forget.
And as me, we both are allowed to have different opinions when it comes to life. And when you have different opinions than my opinion, hseia.com. So I'm putting my website. So it doesn't mean that your opinion is wrong, or it doesn't mean my opinion is better than you. It just means I just have to keep loving you and understand because of your values. If someone is taking accountabilities of their values of who they are, I have to respect that as a person and love you for who you are and try to understand and listen to your values without judgment and listen to your beliefs without judgment and love you as a person. And but if I enter into an argument trying to prove a point, like we have businesses, having a business, it means that you have to be surrounded by the right tribe. And when you are surrounded by the right tribe, it means you are there for each other, helping each other out. The knowledge that I have, it means I can share it with you guys. You guys can share your knowledge with me. So it means that we are there to help each other out. We are there to pick ourselves, to help each other to grow and to become who we want to become without looking at each other down. And that's what Ngozi Talk Show is about. And that's why we created Ngozi Talk Shows, to help our audience actually find their own voice and lead from within. And so I need to know, as a mentally wellness mentor, if someone has mental health problems and they are struggling to actually make decisions when it comes to life, what advice can you give apart from going to see a therapist?
Well, I did do, I'll be honest, I always talk about investing in yourself. I actually did go and see a therapist, and I was seeing a therapist for 4 years. You see, I didn't realize that a lot of stuff that I was carrying, you see, I was having a chat with my daughter just to change the subject a little bit regarding this. Because what most people think is that they're broken when they're struggling with mental health. I know I did. I was broken. I was useless. Nobody loved me. I wanted to just curl in my cave and just hide from people, or I would be quite aggressive, which was a way of protecting myself. But I also noticed that my memory was also massively affected. So then I'd think I was stupid. So with mental health, like I said, I did start therapy, and it enabled me to go inside and switch on my own inner light, to be honest, because what we don't realize is a lot of stuff that we're carrying is not ours to carry. So like, for instance, my daughter, she's been struggling a little bit with some challenges that she's got going off at the moment. And her teacher turned around to her and said, you know, maybe you should see a therapist. And she was like, I don't need to see a therapist. I'm not, you know, and I was like, Summer, talking to somebody is the best advice I can give you. So whether that be a therapist or a mate that's got a chance to listen to you, or a coach, you know, or you know, a mentor like myself, talking about how you're feeling is the most therapeutic thing that I can advise anybody to. So when my daughter said, oh, you know, blah, 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 I says, the thing is, she says, I haven't been through anything like you have. And I was like, are you joking? And she was like, what do you mean? And when I explained to her that I was carrying something from the age of 11 years old, I didn't know I was carrying that. I didn't know that I was wearing that like a badge of honor. Well, no, it wasn't a badge of honor, because badges of honor make you proud, don't they? I was wearing it like some beating stick. So I used to beat myself over the head. You know, like I said, sometimes we go down that blame game, but we blame ourselves. I always thought it was me. There was something wrong with me. Nobody loved me because I was a bad person. And I was 11 years old when this particular thing happened. Now, I didn't realize that I was carrying that, but it had carried on till my adulthood. And when the therapist was chatting to me about it, she went, oh my days. When I was able to sit there and go, really? That's how I internalized it? She went, yes, that's what you've actually internalized. So when I was explaining to my daughter that, you know, she might have interpreted something that happened to her when she was 4 years old, nothing nasty, but the situation where me and her dad splitting up, you know, the how she reacted when he left broke my heart, because it took me back to when I was a child, because my dad left. And it was like, I swore that would never happen to one of my children. And sometimes we just don't have that control over what's happening in, you know, in that situation. That relationship broke down because we stopped communicating. So my advice, I'm going around the houses. See, I like to go around the houses because sometimes I have to catch a couple of buses before I can actually get to my destination. So talking to somebody, best advice I can give anybody is find somebody to talk to, because having somebody else's different opinion or different perspective on the situation might help you go, oh, I never thought of it that way. But also journaling. I've got to mention journaling. Sitting down with your thoughts. Now, people think it's a diary or something like that. And some people don't, you know, Me personally, I'd heard about journaling, you know, when I first started my path of self-discovery and recovery, which was getting into personal development. I'd heard about journaling. I didn't get it. I didn't want to get it. I didn't understand it. And I was like, how's that going to help? But being able to sit there with your thoughts and feelings and being able to take them out your head, out of here, onto paper, makes you see things differently. So it is. I've said that journaling has become like a therapist to me, like a loyal friend who allows me to brain dump without me feeling judged. So it's such a powerful tool, and it's not about keeping a diary. Yes, you can keep a diary. I did this, but when you do the journaling that I do, which is about your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, that's when you start to understand who you are, what makes you tick. You mentioned earlier about your beliefs and your values. I didn't realize until I started journaling that the stuff that I'd gone through, why that person hurt me is because they touched one of my core values. And I was like, oh, go figure. That's why I just, you know, I didn't know why it hurt. I knew it hurt, but I didn't know why. And it was like, because you touched one of my core values. Okay, right, I get that now. So then I was able to let it go and move on. So yeah, journaling, talking to other people. What other things can I say when your thoughts are going somewhere else? Get out in nature. Absolutely powerful tool. We've all got it. It's literally outside your front door. Unfortunately, when we're struggling with mental health, we feel like we're closed in this box. You know, the amount of people that I do speak to, and especially if somebody is unfortunately taken their lives and their family are blaming themselves or going on the thing of, why didn't they tell me? What was wrong? Why couldn't they speak to me? And it's not a case that they couldn't speak to you. They don't know how. I didn't know how to speak to somebody. That's why I went to see a professional. My way of showing my emotion was shouting and getting aggressive because I couldn't articulate how I was feeling. All I knew was I wanted it to stop. I wanted the thoughts, the dark, I used to call it the black fog, the smog, because I just felt suffocated and I just wanted it to stop. I wanted to breathe. So when we're in that place, we're stuck in this box, this four walls, and then we do it in the house. Me, I love going outside, whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, sunny, whatever, taking my shoes off and connecting with the ground and above, and just be present with my breath and my surroundings. It's about changing your physiology. When we get into our own heads, we then start spiraling downwards. If you change your state and move, you know, I heard once that what was it she said about situations, you get a thought and that thought can disappear, or the emotion to that thought will disappear. But because you go on a tangent about it, it stays with you longer. So when you get out of state, it changes that for you. The Healing Power of Nature, which is, it was a book I was in recently, which is great, I was a collaborator for this book, because when I'm out in nature, I have never, ever, ever felt lonely. I've never felt sad. All I feel is happiness, forgiveness, and connectiveness. And I feel like Tigger. So get out in nature. So yeah, there's 3 there for you.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Angie, when you say the advice you gave your daughter is to seek counseling, because when you seek counseling, like you guys went through divorce, and the divorce affects the children more because they have answers that they cannot answer themselves, and sometimes children, they blame themselves, but they don't realize that they are just innocent, and Or maybe you may find that she wishes that her parents were together, but sometimes it's nice to go and just speak to somebody when it comes to those feelings. Seek the counsel of men who will tell you the truth about yourself, even if it hurts. Even if it hurts you to hear it, that is something that is in front of my journal, that if you are going through something, NOMSA seek help. It's just a reminder of what life can be. And what you're saying, that when you go outside the nature is, it makes you feel good, it makes you feel connected, it makes you not feel all these different emotions in the present moment. It makes you feel in that moment. And I think what people don't realize is God created the earth, and the earth has feelings more than people realize. And the feelings that you give to that, when you go out, you are embracing and that gratitude of, you know what, I'm happy to be here. And the earth is responding to you. Earth communicates. It communicates with us. I didn't know that earth has feelings, it has emotions, it has all these things. I didn't have a clue until actually I read the scripture and actually started staying focused in the present moment. And I realized actually, and they were like, when earth gets angry, it gets angry. When there is a bad energy, like in the city or in the town, it will get angry and affect people in that place without them realizing as well. So that's what I was like, oh yeah. So that's why it's important to actually enjoy this nature. Enjoy when you go outside and just be in that present moment instead of worrying about things that has not happened, worrying about the troubles. And that is so important. And also there are some people out there who don't know how to love themselves, and they've been hurt. When somebody has been hurt, they feel that they are not worthy. They are not worthy to be loved. They are not worthy to be this, to be this, to be this. But guess what? We are all unique and we are all loved. If we don't loved by human beings, we are loved by nature. So we are all loved. If you actually understand that we are all loved, and then you will understand that even if you go through pain, you go through rejection, it does not mean that you are not worthy. You are worthy. And also for me, what I've realized as well is the taking responsibilities of my life. It means I have to come in a place where I understand myself and I love myself. And you know what you said before in the beginning, that you used to go along with everything. And going to confused.com, I used to do that. And when you do that, you're confusing your life and confusing your destiny. Sometimes it's nice to stay focused and do the things that you think they are right for your life. And if you do make mistakes, there are some people who fear of taking responsibilities of their life because they fear, what if I make mistakes? Get on with it. Get on with it. What if something goes wrong? Answer, get on with it.
It might go wrong, but what if it goes right?
Where is the right? It's what if? If you ask everybody that has fear, it's like, what if I start my business? What if? Get on with it.
That's anxiety for you, worrying about what's going to happen, in the future.
I always do that to myself and talk to myself, and I'm like, no, I'm saying, just get on with it.
Do it.
Or if I have someone who wants to make a decision and they are not making a decision and they keep winding me up and asking me the same questions, I'm like, why can't you just get on with it? I'm like, just get on with it. Don't worry about fear. Fear will always be there, regardless of what. So you just have to just do things. And once you take action, nothing happens.
Absolutely. But nothing happens without action.
Yeah. So you just have to just get on with it. And if there's anyone who watches Ngozi talk shows, and they have dreams and hopes that they wish they could do, but there is fear, please get in touch with us at Ngozi Talk Shows. We are here to help you find your own voice. We are here to help you lead from within and take action. We have coaches from all walks of life. We'll help you design your own life, your own framework of life when it comes to relationship, when it comes to your mentally healthy. Simmons deals with mentally healthy awareness. So you'll be aware. Self-love is NG. Kamau, he deals with the divorce. Dr. Bickett deals with she deals with what is it called? Grief.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, we grieve in so many ways. Grieving is not just about death. It's just the disappointment is grief. Because when your expectations are not met, that means it is grief. So we deal with all those things in so many ways. And if you are somebody who is in that situation and keep watching us and you don't know what to do, just pick up the phone call, make a phone call. You can go to the website and just make a phone call, or just send an email and say, you know what, I love to speak to somebody that can help me in these areas of my life, because I'm sure there are areas of your life that needs help. So if you want to take action and there is fear, always fear, know that we all went through that pain of fear until one day we woke up in the morning and we were like, get on with it. And then we got on with it, and the fear was still there. And then we had to work on our habits. What brings fear? You just have to be aware of have that self-awareness of living in the present moment and the things that you fear. What do you fear? And work on your weaknesses. You cannot be 100%. There's always going to be something, that a little bit of fear that is there, but you're just gonna have to have the right people that can cheer you up and that can help you with your growth. What do you think, Angie?
Absolutely agree. I'm nodding like this. I feel like one of them little dogs. You know, what is it? The Churchill dog. Oh yes. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Definitely, Numsa. You know, like with the fear thing, I was scared to death when the first time I was ever asked to talk on a podcast. And now, oh my days, I was in my own head for I do not know how long. I talked myself out of it 50 times before I'd even put the phone down. But, you know, what I learned from that situation is that nobody cares. Sometimes, you know, we get in our own heads when we think about talking to other people like this, you know, oh, you know, am I going to look silly on this podcast or blah, blah, blah. Actually, it's not about me. It's about the other person. How can I serve them people on the other side who's listening? So when I flipped it, the fear started disappearing. Find those triggers. Find the trigger. What's triggering you? What's making you scared? Find those solutions to help you get through it. So, for instance, I'm doing a free webinar on next Wednesday, and I'm doing it about how to improve your mental well-being. I've chosen my late brother's birthday. He would have been 48 on Wednesday. And I have never done a webinar in my life. Now, when you talk about creativity, give me pencils, give me pens, give me paint, I'll do whatever. Even welding or building, you know, structures. When it comes to technology, you may as well speak Swahili, because I haven't got a clue. I have really, really had to work hard in figuring out how to use Zoom when it first started a couple of years ago. I'd never used it before. And I was bricking it because I was running this, you know, I was part of a networking group and I was the one that was doing all the breakout rooms. And I was like, Oh, I got into my own head. I looked like a beetroot down by the time I'd finished. My armpits were sweating, and I just couldn't get my head around using these Zoom rooms just because I got in my own head. When I figured it out, it was easy. I'm like, why was I stressing about that? Why was I so scared? What was that about? And I've done the same thing again. Yeah, well, I've not actually done it. Like I say, the webinar's next week. But you know what I decided to do? I was like, you know what? I'm going to promote it. And and my daughter turned around and she went, yeah, but you've not actually written it yet. I went, I know. And she was like, what are you doing? I says, well, the promotion bit's easy. And she went, yeah, but you need to do the hard bit. I went, no, I've promoted it. That will kick me to do the hard bit. So, you know, it was, if I would have spent, the reason why I say that is because if I'd have waited for me to get my head around doing all these presentation slides and everything else, I might do it in about 5 years. So by me promoting it, it's given me the kick to figure out how to do it. And I've nearly done it already in a week. But I've been talking myself out doing this webinar for about a year. And I just thought, right, so I'm scared of doing this webinar because I've never done this webinar in my life. I'm scared of looking like an absolute fool. I'm scared that I won't be able to do the, you know, the slides and everything. And then it was like, right, okay, what's going to make me do this? Right. And I've already got people booked on it. So I can't back out now. So I have put all my time and effort the past week into doing these slides, but I've broke it down. And that's what a lot of people do. They get really fearful, especially when something is so huge. Changing your life, seriously, guys, is huge, but it doesn't happen overnight. Personal growth, personal development is a process. It's not a destination. So when I say personal development, that could be learning how to do webinars or using Zoom. It's still personal growth. And sometimes we look at a situation and it's huge and we leg it because we're scared, because it looks too big. And I heard an old adage many years ago, you cannot eat an elephant all at once. You have to take bite-sized chunks. And when I heard that, I went, I get it. Okay. And I talk to people now, just take one daily step. One daily step, that might be literally me half an hour a day at working in this webinar, half an hour a day, or like 10 minutes every hour. That's one little daily step, because those daily steps will compound into the results that we want. But if you don't take action, you're never going to achieve it. So just try. And these athletes, they didn't just decide, right, I'm going to be a marathon runner and guess what I've done? No, they have to work at it, you know. And we hear people saying, oh, you're so lucky. Really? They're not lucky. They've worked for it. So yeah, it is about taking small daily steps. Small daily steps. I've gone on a tangent again, haven't I? There you go. You're on mute, my sweetness.
You have to have the courage, like with your webinar, even if you've never done it before, have that courage to actually, because if you've never done something, you're not going to learn until you actually do it.
Exactly.
So, and once you do it, you're just going to enjoy it. And then the next time is going to be easy. And that's the part of taking action, where you take action. And even if you fear, you are like, I'm going to get on with it. And I think that is a good thing, Angie. When is your webinar? Wednesday?
Yeah, on the 30th of November, 7 o'clock at night.
What time? 7?
7, yeah.
And how long is it for? For an hour?
For an hour, yeah.
Okay, so I've not seen the link. How come I've not been given the link?
Because I've not promoted it to the group. I just realised I've not told you. That's why.
Yeah,
I've been in the back. I've been in the sidelines, nonsense.
Yeah, you need to promote it. I like to be invited to these webinars and live. And I see people doing live. Sometimes I'm like, I would have enjoyed that. I don't like watching replays. Yeah, I like live to get involved and communicate, but I just watch replays because if I'm not available, not talking to anyone, just commenting. I love getting into live. So make sure you enjoy me to your webinar. You invite me to your webinar, please.
I will send invite to you. I'm writing it down now because better to have a short pencil than longer memory.
Yeah, if it's at 7 p.m., I love to be there and come and support you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've done a webinar before, and yeah, I've done the first time when I did live events. Actually, I was really scared. I hadn't done live before, and like when you were saying that all these artists and sports people, you have to work hard in order for you to actually succeed. And I love music on stage. I've been on stage with music, but I've never been speaking live is different than singing. Singing, you can distract people in so many ways, but when it comes to live talk, no chance.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful that you don't drop an F-bomb or something.
It's completely different. You have to know what you're talking about, and you have to connect with people. There is no dancing, there is nothing. Just focus on the emotions with people and talking and connecting with people as well. And I was so scared myself, and but I just went. I chose the topic, and I kept sending my business coach messages, and he was like, "Nomsa, will you stop now?" It's like when you keep sending someone a message and say, "Is this okay? Is this okay?" And he was like, "It's fear. Just stop. Just get on with it."
Just get on with it.
Yeah, just trust.
My nan, bless her, she taught me something when I was really young. And when we was talking about fear, she said to me, "Is it going to kill you?" And I was like, "No." She went, "So what are you worried about?" That was my nan, bless her. Love, miss her. She passed away a few years back. And she was like, like a second mum. And I remember doing that once, and I was like, "Can it kill me?" "Yes, it actually can." So it didn't really work. But yeah, it is that, I hear people say fear the fear and do it anyway. But yeah, sometimes it can stop you, can it? It can stop you right in your tracks if you're so worried about something. Or Nomsa's like, "No, don't stop, Nomsa."
Yeah, fear cannot stop you. You just have to go for the things that you want to do, and even though the fear is there, or even though there will be people that are not going to believe in you, just go for it. And those who didn't believe in you, once you succeeded, they'll come back and say, "Oh, I always have faith in you," and you'll be like, "No, I don't think so."
No, I don't think so. Where were you the past God knows how many years?
Yeah, so you just go for the things, and that's something that I've learned the hard way, that if you want to do something, just get on and do it, because it is easy to blame people, and it's easy to blame this in the environment. Is easy to blame things that I'm not who I am today because of my parents or because of my marriage. There are some people that they date people and things go wrong, and they'll be blaming their exes. And you're like, just get on with it. Or your ex is no longer with you. Why don't you just get help? And we meet people for the right reason. And for me, that's what I believe, that every person that we meet them for the right reason. I was I've been on LinkedIn, I've been approached by so many people. And on LinkedIn has taught me so many ways. I've realized that there are some people who create profiles on LinkedIn to target women from United Kingdom, like women overseas, or it might be European countries, like business people, to target them. And they're like, it's like they treat it as a dating thing. And it's always, when you speak to them, they're in, what is this place? Is it Thailand or something, where there's too much places for crime, money laundering crime? Where is this place?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so they are always in that country, whatever that country is. When you talk to them, they're in the army, or in the US, they are in the army, which they're not. And some of them, what do they do? Some of them, there's so many things on LinkedIn. So not everyone that is on LinkedIn has created a profile for business. People create profiles for different things. And those are the things that I've learned since I've been there. I've been there for since 4 years now. And I've learned those things, and on Facebook as well, on these social media, there's people that really targeting to wrong people on their social media. But it does not stop me, or it wouldn't stop anybody else. And also, when somebody has been hurt before, when they want to do something, like you ask single people, they're like, I was hurt before. I don't think there's good men out there, or I don't think there's good women out there. But the thing is, there is good people out there, but they're not easy to find. They're actually looking for you as well.
Yeah.
So those good people are looking for other good people. That means you don't give up when it comes to life. And you just live your life as God created you, as a unique person, and hold yourself accountable for your life. And meaning that when things go wrong, or when things goes good, celebrate you, celebrate your wins, always journal your feelings, be aware of your thoughts. Angie, if someone is watching right now and they want to find you and they don't know who you are, could you please tell our audience who you are and where they can find you, please?
So, hi guys, Angie Simmons, single mom, from a mining town called Mansfield. I'm personal development, mental wellness mentor, an author. I got loads. Coach. Yeah, I stood there the other day and wrote this, said this on when I was talking, and I was like, oh my God, this has only happened in the past 5-6 years. Yes, I've had years of inner work to do, but yeah, so I don't say that to impress anybody. It's about impressing upon you that if you want to change your life, you can. So you can actually find me either at my website, which is www.growthdevelopmentfoundation.co.uk, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Growth Development Foundation, or you can find me on LinkedIn as Angie Simmons. That's it. It's a mouthful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Angie. And please, guys, follow Angie. And if you want to take accountability of your life and take control of your life, you need to be aware of your mental wealth and mental health. She's the one. She's the right person to actually talk to if you are actually looking to actually check you out. And everything that we do in life, we need to make sure that mentally we are ready, mentally we are prepared. And because when you start a business, or when you start a job that is very demanding, corporate job is very, very demanding. And you need to be in the right state, so that when you are under pressure with that job, or when you have a bad manager, know how to deal with it. Some people don't know how to deal with the situation, and they don't even leave. They stay in that bad situation until things get worse. But because of fear that if I leave this work, will there be any other job? How did you find this one? So that means there's going to be more jobs. So you just have to go for what you want in life. I wanted to actually start a matchmaking business. I know what I needed to do, but there was fear, and I kept asking and I kept asking. I have someone in my life that always gives me advice. And I asked that person, and I was like, what do you think I should do? And it was like, get on with it. You know what you need to do. Honestly, I had everything prepared for me to start my matchmaking business, but because I was so scared inside. So you need those people that can tell you that have courage just to take action, and tell you that everything is going to be okay, because we want the reassurance of success. When we want to start something, we want to know whether we are going to succeed or not. But that answer cannot be given until you start, and until you start that journey and see where it takes you. So that's when the answer gets given, and the answer is always a success. Failure comes as a learning thing, not as a failure. People see failure as something that is defeated you, something that you cannot succeed, or you cannot get up from it. But what have you learned from that failure? That means there's so much knowledge that you have, and just get on with it. Any words of encouragement, Angie, for our audience?
I love it. Just get on with it. No, seriously, guys, if you want to change your life, you've got to take different actions. You've got to put empowering habits in place and replace the old ones. And if you need help with that, just reach out and ask for help.
Yeah, just reach out. Like what Angie's saying, my words of encouragement is just get on with life and be accountable of your life. Take accountability. Find an accountability partner if you're scared or fear. I'm sure everyone has that person that is their champion in life. When you look at that person, you are like, wow, the things they do, they are amazing. Their character, their image. Just find that kind of a person, and just let them help you to get to where you need to be. We can't do things on our own, but we can find somebody to give us courage, to help us that everything is gonna be okay. And that's what I did myself. I had to go and find somebody starting my business, and that person was able to actually help me, and that's why I am who I am today, by just people telling you that you're gonna be okay. And if you have any questions, even if you just want to ask a question, please send us an email or just give us a call at Ngosi Talk Shows. The answers will be there. Somebody will speak to you. It's always me anyway. Whoever receive a phone call, they will transfer it to me. If you need to speak to any of these coaches, I will connect you to them, and they've been there. So we cannot teach you where we haven't been. I've been there. Broken relationship, but it didn't mean that I was broken. Means that I didn't know. I needed to learn communications. I needed to learn to have principles in my relationship. I needed to put some things in place which I didn't have the knowledge of. But when I did learn, have the knowledge, everything becomes easy. So God bless everyone. We are here Monday to Friday at Ngosi Talk Shows. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. And if you're watching us on Facebook, please go to our Ngosi Talk Shows page. You can give us some stars by pressing the stars and comment, and those stars will help us to reach more people in our community. God bless and live with grace.